look at this. Ed, what the hell was that? That was absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, no one was around to see that, so that was good. But anyway, what we are going to do right now, and we're going to do this just for maybe maximum an hour, is talk about Highbury Football Stadium. And you know why I wanted to do this was because what I wanted to do this for was because like Highbury, let's just look at that. Do you know what? My hairline recently is just mad, absolutely ridiculous. Is that going to be good enough? Why not? Let's just go with that. Why I wanted to do this tonight was because last night I was reminiscing about Highbury Football Stadium. Highbury Football Stadium had a very, very special charm and elegance and a battle and a beauty and everything about it. And that's kind of what you absorbed when you went to the stadium. Because when you go to these kind of like monuments or like it's a stadium or whatever it is, when you go to these kind of places, you kind of like have to absorb they actually like sort of like literally exude a sort of like atmosphere of their history. So you go there and then like you walk inside and suddenly you're starting to absorb all the history that is Highbury. So the Highbury history is like long and extensive and it goes back to sort of like the early 1900s, obviously. So, you know, things like that are very, very rare to come by now. And because since we moved to the Emirates, the reason why people call it like a soulless bowl and all that, because it hasn't got any history attached to it. That's the problem. It hasn't got history in terms of, you know, winning things, major honours. I guess in the Emirates era, we've won obviously a few FA Cups in terms of Arsene Wenger, and then obviously the most recent one by Arteta. However, it's kind of not good enough. And like when I sort of like relaxed into it, and I think about what Highbury meant to me, and I think kind of like it was very fortunate of me to be able to go down to London, to be able to be here in London in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7 for various reasons. Arsenal, music, creativity, the legality of magic mushrooms. All of these things were very salient points as to how I was sort of like, or anyone really who has like half an open brain would enjoy reality. And it's unfortunate these things have changed, and these things have changed quite differently. Highbury, getting back to the point, away from magic mushrooms. I know we want to go down the magic mushroom route. Going to Highbury on magic mushrooms, I didn't do. However, that would have been a very, very acceptable way to be. But yeah, I sat down last night and I thought about what it's like to come out of Finsbury Park and then like bear right. And you bear right, and then, you know, there's the burger stands and there's all these kind of things that there are. And then there's this break in houses. And then in the olden times, you do bear right and the stadium is there. However, now you do a bit more. Walking, forget about now. Walking up there to Highbury was, I don't want to say like a religious experience because that's kind of like a weird way of putting it. And the windows just batter my fucking curtains. Not a religious experience and all that, but it was very, very poignant. And the reason I make that point, and the reason I'm going to make a few points like this going forward, is to distinguish between what it's like going to Highbury now and what it's like going to the Emirates now. And so when you're a young fan, you're going to Highbury. When you're a young fan, you're going to the Emirates. These two experiences are very, very different. And this is kind of a little bit of a problem in the understanding of how Arsenal Football Club works, because I do genuinely believe there's a big problem right now with people thinking that this club isn't a big club anymore. And those people are younger people who don't really understand the value of time. They don't understand like how we haven't got 10, 20 years. I mean, I've had this Arsenal team doing 20 years since 2004 to try to get a title. But anyway, that's not the point. What I want to do for a start is share the screen for. I'm gonna like show these pictures because these pictures are crazy, man. These pictures are black and white, but they're really, really good. So just give me 1 sec and I will share these. If this thing actually allows me to do it, which it won't. Oh, for God's sake. So, okay, like, hang on 1 second. I need to do this fairly easily. I would say fairly easily, but this stupid thing isn't going to let me do it. No, but there is these black and white photos. Basically, what I'm trying to do is share these black and white photos. But then I want to see the photo. But then why would I buy that? Why would I buy that? Because I don't want to see the photo. Well, I can't see the photo. Okay, so bollocks, mate. There's so many. So basically, there's a lot of these. Let me try and see if I can. So there's a lot of these kind of like things where it's like, oh yeah, great. Look at this shot. You can't see the shot. You can't see it. You can't see it. So, and this one, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, that's fucking irritating, man. But anyway, I can just like talk about Highbury Stadium. I just need to shut this window because this window is like glowing like fuck. Like basically the wind over in North London right now is like messing us about. Just 1 second. I don't think that's going to stop either. So, what I was trying to say about Highbury is like I kind of miss the. I miss the fact that we have to go to a stadium that forces us to absorb the history of it, and like forcing you to absorb the history is not a bad thing. It forces us to absorb a history. It forces us to absorb so many years, and you feel it when you go there and you walk. It's not even like, oh, you walk through the turns. It's not meant to be a poetic, well worded thing. It's just, God's sake, I nearly knocked my speaker over. It's just how it's supposed to be if you're continuously trying to be a successful club in the right way as well. Are we trying to be a successful club anymore? That's another tale for another time, because this isn't about that. But the reason that I got sort of talking about this was just because I was thinking about getting a season ticket for the Emirates, and I was just like, do I want to go to the Emirates? Do I want to go and see what we see week in, week out and pay like 2,000, 2,500 for it, maybe if you can get platinum and all this kind of stuff? Do you really want to pay that for what's the return? People paying £1,500 for a sort of slightly advanced version of Stoke play. think I know everyone's answer. And then I just kind of like lay there. I just kind of like lay there in bed, and I was just kind of like reminiscing about what it's like, or what it was like in the mid noughties, when it was a time where you didn't have to worry so much. Not that I worry so much about what I talk about, but this kind of thing. We'll get into this more in a second. Just bear with me one sec. I need to sort a few things about in the house. Just one. So basically, yes, Fabregas's debut was the first time I went to Highbury, and I think it was the first time. Like, I know that Fabregas's debut was against Rotherham, and it was like 1-1 in full time, and then something like 13-12 on penalties. It was a very, very big penalty shootout. Fabregas came on, he had a really, really ridiculous mullet. In terms of it being my first game at Highbury, I don't remember a game before it. So I think this probably is my first game. I think I did that. I think I did then. I think it was another red team, but I don't know. Like it was almost like it was Middlesbrough, but I'm not confident it was Middlesbrough. But then I don't know what the alternative is if it wasn't Middlesbrough. It's a bit weird. So never mind about that. Then I did Lokomotiv Moscow when I went to the Gunners pub, and I did like a load of double vodkas at the Gunners pub. Wandered up to Highbury, and they were all like, "Oh well, I hope you do. Hope you don't come back every week." But I wasn't like that bad or anything like that. But the thing is, I got to, and I do remember it exactly. I wasn't that bad. I do remember it in the sense that I experienced my first Champions League night game, or like Highbury night game. Highbury night games were pretty special. And this is why I want to go and watch a Betis night game, because like people who know me well know me that Arsenal since 1993, Betis since 2001. Arsenal is the wife, Betis is the mistress. So I'm not entirely bothered so much about that. But yeah, the night games are what we're going to try to achieve, especially bettors, because it's like the thing with La Liga and trying to get games in La Liga, it's really weird. They have a really weird system of doing it. They tell you very close to the game, the day that the game is going to be on, and it's like a very, very inconvenient. Like, okay, so if you live in Spain, it's not too bad, but it's a very, very inconvenient situation if you're somebody who's kind of like trying to come out of Spain and be kind of like, oh well, it's like pretty difficult, like coming over from England or wherever that, and they're kind of like, okay, we got to do this, we got to sort these things out. Come on, but no, we can't do that, unfortunately. But anyway, this show is about Highbury Memories. Highbury Memories. You know what? If I was to become a billionaire, I would definitely sell the Emirates. Give us 2 years to sort it out, and then buy back all that land around Highbury, and then just return Highbury to more than just its full restoration in that area. 70,000, why not? We can make 70,000, we can make it work somehow. I'm not entirely sure how, but like we can make it work somehow. So yeah, I think Highbury should be reinstated, all the people kicked out, and it raised to a 70,000 seater stadium. That's basically, well, my basic demand, if it is a demand. I don't know if you want to call it a demand, but anyway, what can you say? And I think most of the games I saw at Highbury were League Cup games. Apart from that Lokomotiv Moscow Champions League game, I think everything else. I don't think I saw a Premier League game there. That's pissed me off a little bit. That has annoyed me a little bit. Yeah, because like that would have been decent, but to be able to say, ever to that, I have seen Arsenal Premier League games. I mean, to be fair, in my defence, I was sat 10 rows behind Arsene Wenger in Arsene Wenger's first ever game, which was August 1995, away at Blackburn Rovers. Ian Wright scored in both ends. So there is that. And then there's also all the other things that happen in between. So yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to like curse people out and all this kind of stuff. But there's a very, very marked difference between the attitude of the football club now versus the football club before, and it's because they know they're able to kind of acquiesce to so many people who are not that bothered about success. If more people were bothered about success, then we would see a different approach from the club, from the social media team, from all this kind of stuff. We would see a different approach because that's what's popular, as they say. Right? So that's kind of how it works, guys. I mean, like, that's kind of like a simple way of how it works. And you have to find a way to make that work, and you have to find conduits to make that work. And once you do, that is it. And after all my talk about, it's been a long time since I've been back to Yorkshire where I grew up from and all that kind of stuff. Look at the night tonight. It's windy as fuck, and I've got like trees, and well, not trees, but like short, small trees, and the bushes outside my house. Everything's windy as fuck, just like it was on the moor for 18 years where I grew up. Isn't that interesting? But I digress. It's been a long, long time without this football club being able to have a stadium that has some history to flex. It needs to have something built into it that when people go to it, they absorb it, just like Highbury did. But Highbury had charm, Highbury had beauty, Highbury had battle scars, Highbury had battle memories that you absorbed. What does the Emirates have? You know? What does the Emirates have? Not too much. Not too much in comparison, let's be fair. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what people expect. I don't know what people expect. I mean, it's just a little bit disappointing that, because I was obviously in the 12 pins in 2004 at the end of the Invincible season. If you said to us that nobody was going to win a title, you guys, Arsenal, weren't going to win a title for the next 20 years, you'd be like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, Highbury Memories. Another memory that I remember very distinctly. Leicester. In fact, let me just double check my distinction. Last Invincible game was Leicester, yeah? Last Invincible game was Leicester. It was Leicester, right? Oh, for fuck's sake, this thing is pissing out. Not AI. Yeah, it was 2-1. But didn't they take the lead? I thought they took the lead. Goals. Where are the goals, idiots? 26, 47, 66. Yeah, they took the lead. Yeah, they took the lead. That's what I thought. The Invincibles. Invincibles were almost like a different world. The attitude and belief, and actually, to be honest, what I think I understand about the current Arsenal fan base, or a lot of the current Arsenal fans, is they believe that we're going to get back to that. I understand that they kind of believe that we're going to get back to the Invincible level. Fair enough. Good luck with that. The Invincible level was a squad that was, a fair bit superior. Let's just say that. A fair bit superior. But I think that the fact that we haven't done anything at the Emirates, I mean, like, I had to pause there. We've won a few FA Cups, I get that. But of course, a few FA Cups at the Emirates versus everything that Highbury had about it. I mean, what's the competition? What's the competition? So it's kind of like, it's it's kind of disappointing. Kind of disappointing question. But getting back to the feeling of approaching a stadium like Highbury, approaching a stadium that has that history, it has all the stuff that we talked about behind it. A stadium like that, you walk right up to and you feel everything, like I have said. Do we get that same feeling with the Emirates? No, I don't think we do. And this is kind of the problem. Well, it's not really kind of the problem, it's a lot of the problem. Now we're back in just one sec. We'll go to maybe 45 minutes or so, all this kind of stuff. Just one sec. I think one of my main points when I was thinking about it before was it's kind of like just a shame that we don't have that ability to go to that stadium anymore. And also, it's kind of a shame that younger people don't as well, like kids don't, and all this kind of stuff. Like, because it's not just me, like, it's not just talking about me, the age of 41, or even people who are 33 or 35 or 25. You can't go to the Emirates at the moment or for a very long time and experience as a kid some sense of history, some sense of prestige, some sense of honor, and what a proper football club is built about and what we are supposed to be. How can you get that from going to the Emirates? Like, in what way can you get that from going to the Emirates? It's just not possible because there's nothing that's happened in the Emirates other than one FA Cup with the previous team. And the wind has stopped, which is annoying me because I thought the wind was going to continue. And as soon as I say that, the wind continues. But yeah, understanding the history of the club, especially this club, especially a club that's supposed to be a top club, especially a club that's supposed to be like a third club in its country, especially a club that's supposed to be like one of the biggest in Europe, nay, the world. It's so important that you understand the general vibe of the consensus and all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of like vibe around it and kind of like make sure you understand what's going on. But this club, whilst it is still third biggest in this country, is not that far away from being overtaken and going down to fifth. Chelsea, Man City. Not too many cups and trophies and titles behind us. Man City 3 titles behind us. Chelsea 2 trophies behind us. Suddenly, after 6 or 7 years of another nonsense, in the last 6 or 7 years, we win nothing. Suddenly, we're the 5th biggest club. Do you want that? I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. That is madness, my friend. That is absolute madness. I you know what? I'm so annoyed I can't share these Highbury pictures because they are so nice. These black and white pictures. But if you go to, so if anyone wants to, oh god, that one is so good. How can I get this to dickhead? How can I just get this blown up to the second to the size of my screen? Can I get this 7 inch times 5 inches? Shit. Fucking stupid thing. Anyway. There's these black and white photos of Highbury which are crazy. But also they're all standing, so it doesn't look like it's that good. But the way the floodlights drop on the ground, it's kind of like the way mist drops as well. It's like, okay, anyway, it does look amazing to be honest with you. How can I link you to this? I must be able to link you to this. This is, because then when I click on it, you just turn it into a photograph, you dickhead. Never mind. Never mind. But my point being, there is no place like, not just Highbury, by the way, a football club. For a foot, there is no place for a football fan like a football club stadium that is steeped in history because it lacquers in history. It's lacquered. It absorbs the years. The years are contained in the stone and brick and what have you. And hopefully, anyone who's gone to Highbury, should appreciate that because that is like a crazy, crazy. Like when you walk, you go to Finsbury Park, you take the right out of Finsbury Park, you take the right of the road, you take the right of the road. Like I said, I think at the start of the video, it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. It's something that you miss because it's a moment that you can't really describe. I suppose how you would try to describe it. I'll just pour this beer, shall I? I suppose how you would try to describe it. It's kind of like how I remember it is a memory that is kind of like lacquered with a bit of energetic joy. It's kind of like, what do you want to remember? Well, I want to remember our last title win. Well, your last title was in 2004, so this is going to be a bit tricky. And it's like, okay, well, yes, I can remember that vaguely. Like my mate pissed off. I was at the 12 pins. I pulled some birds, and like I pretty much don't remember the rest of the night. The rest for the next 2 days. And I remember getting home about 2 days later. My friend nearly like punched me in the face. So all that is basically what I remember from the Invincibles. Subsequently, there's not been anything any better than that. So, well, that's annoying me. To be honest. It's kind of crazy though, to be honest. 2004 was a great place to be. It was a great place to be. If you did not experience that, go back in the videos. We're going to spend the last. We're going to go to 45 minutes. We're going to spend the last 10 minutes reminiscing specifically about good Arsenal. So, what I was going to say is 2012 ends. in 2004. May 15th against Leicester, we won 2-1. I think we won 1-0. Anyway, we were over there in the 25th. If anybody had come up to us in that situation, or even, a few hours later, something like this, if anybody had come up to us at that point and said that in the next 20 years, you know, you might make it, with any European titles in the next 20 years, you may win any Premier League titles in the next 20 years, and it's going to continue from there on. We would have been, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, seriously, what the fuck are we talking about? If you spoke to an Arsenal in, well, let's just say, the invincible season of 2004, and you asked them if you're going to win in the next 20 years, they would have, like, in a sort of like reduced way, trying to say serious. They're being like, oh, well, 3, 4 titles. Oh, maybe two Champions Leagues. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. And that's what I don't not understand. Let's sort of rephrase that. I get that a lot of people who don't understand like how it is the value of time and all this kind of stuff. We do because it's kind of like, well, we can do this, we can do that. And I kind of get that as well, especially when you see sort of like tech improvements. However, this isn't about this. This is about getting back to what Highbury was. I'll tell you what as well, by the way. Oh, this is kind of like a stupid thing. But, but, I get bored. I get bored. And that's kind of funny. You know what's funny as well today? Before I get back to the music stuff, it just popped into my head. I might as well just say about it. It's like it was strange because like I thought the boxing was on tonight. Basically, I thought that the Eubank fight, the Eubank fight was, and it's in November the 15th, which is a bit odd to me. But anyway, oh, fucking, do you know what's pissing me off? All right, shit. Here's my hand. My hand goes left, and was come down. Well, that was still not doing it. So why don't I just go this? Then it's like it's too much this and that. This is just me trying to come to terms with losing my hair temporarily because obviously I'm going to sort it out. Uh, these things need to be sorted out. Maybe I just I don't know. I don't really know. What would you sort of rather do, or what do you even think is the it's consciousness? You know what I mean? Let's just get to consciousness. Us. We've got 6 minutes left, and we'll go to 45 minutes. You just sort of like internal consciousness stuff. But what I find a little bit strange about living reality is that when you have these kind of like, especially it sort of tries to sort of it tries as well. It tries. That's kind of thing. It's very trying in terms of language. It's very trying in terms of your ability to kind of like just sort of find reality. I do understand though that like when you're in this reality and um, This was like a dream, like lucid type reality. The wide reality is kind of a wider vision. So yeah, I do understand that. But anyway, so let's just, maybe we should just switch this back to nothing. Just kind of like getting, just go have this like weird little cosmic. But if you notice about Arsenal, I wish I could just, I really wish I could show you the bloody freaking black and white photos. And it's so nice. And I wish I could have been there. I really wish I could have been there. Yeah. Well, well, big anyone who watches this, I'll be jumping on various football streams. So have a good weekend, guys.